This is episode 658, and Happy New Year. We're going to start the new year off with talking about the importance of spiritual strength. In the quest of personal development, many individuals focus on enhancing their physical fitness, intellectual abilities, and emotional resilience. Now, these are all important, but there is one key component that is missing in that. And while these aspects are undeniably crucial, often overlooked is the profound impact of spiritual strength on overall well being, wellness, flourishing, and thriving. Spiritual strength transcends religious affiliations. It encompasses a deep connection with one's inner self, the world, and higher powers. So let's take a closer look at that. And before we go into the deeper look, I wanted to share a conversation I had with Mark Devine of Seal Fit. And we were talking about physical strength, mental strength, emotional strength, and spiritual strength. And we kind of agreed that the physical is the easiest to tap into because then that door opens up to the mental. And the mental would be your determination, your perseverance. And once that gets depleted, you then go on to the emotional. You're going, I am going to do this. This is the emotional part. You get that anger and you can use that emotion to move. But then once those three are gone, the only thing you have left is your spiritual strength. And spiritual strength is the strongest strength of all of them. If you can take the time to develop it, because that spiritual strength, we've heard stories of moms lifting up cars off of kids, and some of those things are true, some of them are exaggerated, but that is an example of spiritual strength. When we do something for someone else or a bigger purpose, we can dig deep into ourselves and tap into that spiritual strength. However, most of us only look at the physical strength, perhaps the mental strength, dabble in the emotional strength, but don't really focus on that spiritual strength component. And in essence, that spiritual strength is really our cornerstone. Our whole way of dealing with the world and circumstances is based on our spiritual strength. That's the center. All the other ones are built on top of it. So I just wanted to make a point before we get into a closer look at this as to how important that spiritual strength is. And it should be included in one of your daily rituals, whether if you've been listening to podcasts for a while, I'm a big proponent of an AM ritual, a PM ritual, a work ritual, and a sleep ritual. Well, in those, we want to combine physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And that spiritual strength, we can start to dabble into it through meditation, through values, through virtues, through purpose. And then we can start to expand on it. And the other strengths kind of fall into place. So let's go ahead and take a closer look right now. So the importance of spiritual strength is finding your purpose and meaning. And this is kind of a two-way street. When you find your purpose and meaning, you improve your spiritual strength. And by improving your spiritual strength, you can discover or find your purpose and meaning. If we don't have that spiritual strength, we'll look at what can we do to make the most money? What can we do? We will look at us as to, selfish in a sense, which is sometimes selfish is completely okay. But if we look at it, what can this do for me? As opposed to what can I do for somebody else? And that's where the spiritual strength comes in. And that's where finding purpose and meaning in our life. When we find that purpose and meaning, we then take action for somebody or a group of people or something else, not ourselves. When we can take that action for other people, whether it's being an example of how fit you can be at 68, perhaps. Anybody know somebody like that? Or we can look at how we can help with the environment, with other people, so we can either set an example or take action above what we think we're capable of. But all of that comes when we find that purpose and meaning. And it also helps with resilience in the face of adversity. Again, when we're facing something, when we're facing adversity, it could be, a stranger, it could be a family member, it could be a boss, it could be just when we're trying to do something and people are saying no, when we know we have a calling, when we know we're after this specific request because of a higher purpose, we will build the strong relations. Like, I'm not going to take no for an answer for this because it's way too important for this people, for this group of people, for this organization, for these animals, whatever it might be. When we know we're taking action on behalf of somebody or some things else, we then will have the resilience to face adversity. If it's just for us, we'll tend to, oh, okay, fine, I'll do it another way, I'll do this. We kind of give in a little bit because we can handle it, in a sense. Not handle it, but we can make concessions. But when we're doing this for somebody else, a bigger cause, there is no taking concessions. This is a matter of resilience to get what we're after. Can also enhance emotional intelligence. When we don't have that spiritual strength as a center cornerstone, we tend to allow our buttons to be pushed because then that's the ego, right? It's egoic reactions. When somebody says something, we lash back out of them. When we see something that we don't like, we lash back out at that. And that is, emotional intelligence. That's mostly emotional it's not intelligent. And so we want to enhance that emotional intelligence. And there's four things, right? There's self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy are the three bigs in that. But all of that goes around spiritual strength. When we know our values, when we know our virtues, when we know our purpose, when we know even our Enneagram type, we then know ourselves and we can adjust our emotions according to our values, our virtues, our behaviors, right? We can adjust them as opposed to just pushing our buttons and reacting instead of responding. So spiritual strength can definitely help enhance emotional intelligence as well. And it can promote mental clarity and focus, mainly through virtues and values. What you could combine those doing is have a code of honor, which is a spiritual strength. Right? There's been codes of honors in Bushido, the Knights, the Wild West, all of these areas, but that basically says this is how I'm going to behave. This is how I'm going to walk my path. And when we walk our path, we know there's not a lot of decisions to be made, which provides for mental clarity and focus. When we're walking on our path, we go, this is where I'm going to walk. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to behave. There's no debate about it. So there's very clear as to what projects you take on, what tasks you take on, what behaviors you take on, what friends you take on. All of that is in alignment with your values, your virtues, and your purpose. So you get really good mental clarity and focus as to what you want to create. And then you connect with a higher purpose. When you know you're here for a very special, special reason, and it's only you and you alone, that can make that purpose come true, you get this intense spiritual strength that allows you to keep going the extra 10 miles, not just the extra mile. But when you connect with it, you wake up, as the Japanese have, with an ikigai, a reason for waking up. You wake up enthusiastic for the day. You wake up because you can't wait to start working on your purpose. You can't wait, knowing that you'll never achieve your purpose, but it's the journey for that purpose is what's exciting. And and how it affects other people, other places, other things. When you know that every action you take has a domino effect because of your higher purpose, that can really, really, that's the importance of spiritual strength. Is probably, that would be the biggest one, is that purpose, and you connect with that. So keep in mind that by cultivating spiritual strength, you can navigate the complexities of life with resilience, enhanced emotional intelligence, achieve mental clarity, and connect with a higher purpose. And when all of those are together, you will experience flow, or you will experience being in the zone. It's also known as. In embracing spiritual strength, we unlock the potential for profound personal growth, and more meaningful and fulfilling life journey. I mean, isn't that what we're here, is to experience life in its fullest? And that is when we step outside ourselves and our actions take on a bigger meaning for somebody else, for something else, for some organizations. And that's what spiritual strength is all about. If you'd like to see the show notes on this podcast, please visit warriormindcoach.com. While you're over there, please bump around and listen to some other podcasts, read some blog posts, and you can also find out how to contact me for a breakthrough session. Since you'll be on the internet, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest under Warrior Mind Coach.